Hey there, Aubrey. How's it going today?
I'm great. How are you, Lindsay?
Good. I've got a question for you today. You ready?
Yes, let's hear it.
All right, here we go. So, have you watched any older movies or TV shows lately that just didn't hold up?
Yes, I went back and watched an episode of The Brady Bunch. Do you remember
Oh,
that
Brady
show?
Bunch. Oh my gosh. Yes, of
I
course I
remember
remember.
loving it, and I tried to
Yeah,
watch an episode with my kids. No, it doesn't hold up. It
really.
didn't hold their attention. They were annoyed by the laugh track because shows don't usually have a
Oh
laugh
my
track
gosh.
anymore.
That's hilarious. The laugh
And
track.
they
That
just
doesn't
thought it was
exist.
sort of cheesy, and I don't know, I could not get them to watch more than a few minutes, and I also felt I'm like, "Oh, man, this doesn't really hold up." I don't know.
Oh, what a bummer. It's so
Yeah,
sad when that happens because there has to be classics out there that do hold up
I'm
over
sure.
time,
Right?
right?
But sometimes
Yeah.
they don't. And this, we are telling you guys today, we're teaching you a mistake that is made often by English learners with this phrasal verb, hold up. Lindsay asked
Mhm.
me if I've seen anything that didn't hold up.
Yes.
Sometimes learners will use this phrasal verb when they mean hold, when they should use the verb hold. It's a really
Yes.
easy mistake to make.
Yes, and I know we've talked about before on the show, Love Actually as well. I think we have a divided opinion on our team around
Oh.
whether it holds up or not, right?
Yes, because
Uh,
there are some jokes about the one young lady's weight, which really bother
yeah.
me now. I'm like, we
Yeah,
wouldn't make
yeah, of
those
course.
now. So I still really love
Yeah.
that film, but they bother me.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. Some old classics that we have to kind of leave behind, right? So let's
Exactly.
get deeper into this episode and exactly what our listeners are going to get today, Aubrey. What are we
Yes.
getting into?
So this phrasal verb hold up has 7 meanings, and
Hmm.
the verb hold or the word hold has 12 meanings because we
Oh
use
my
it
gosh.
as a verb and a noun. Not only that, Lindsay, there are hundreds of idioms that have the word hold, and they all have different meanings. So
No.
today we're going to really dive into one meaning of the phrasal verb hold up,
Okay.
contrasting it to the verb hold in order to help you avoid this common
Mm.
error that we see in English. We'll tell you what that mistake is, help you understand this phrasal verb and verb so that you avoid this error. But we
Mm.
want to go a little deeper into hold. You guys, we want you to learn some of the idioms and some of the other meanings. There's so much here.
Yes, right. And this is going to be part one of a three-part episode series. But what's different today is this three-part series is across all three of our podcasts. Isn't that right, Aubrey?
Yes, I'm excited about this. Part 2 will be next week on the Business English podcast. We are
Hmm.
going to share 3 meanings of hold up that are the most common. We use them all the time at work, but we use them all the time in life as well. You definitely want to hear this episode. So make sure you're following the Business English podcast so you don't
Yes.
miss that one.
Yes. Open that search bar now and just type in business English and you can hit follow. And then where is part three, Aubrey?
Yes, part 3 will be on IELTS energy. We're going to share the 3 most common idioms that we use with the word hold that are extremely useful on IELTS speaking, but also in daily conversations to spice up, use that idiomatic language. So you should follow IELTS energy. So much great vocabulary there, whether you're studying for IELTS or not.
Right. I mean, for our IELTS listeners over on IELTS Energy, once you pass the test, you're going to be in your target country, right? So we
Right?
need those skills as well. So I love it. This is the first time we've done a three-part series across all three shows. So guys, make sure you are following all three shows. All right. Should we
Awesome.
get
Let's
into
dive
it?
in here. Yes, we're first going to share an example I recently heard in a class where a student said they hold up a belief. And
Mm,
I wasn't actually sure their meaning because they could be meaning to say they hold a belief, or they
yeah.
could be meaning to say a belief holds up. These two mean very different things, right, Lindsay?
Yeah, that's interesting, right? So,
Yeah.
what do we need to know then when it comes to beliefs? Talking about beliefs and the word hold.
So we're going to divide this and first talk about the phrasal verb hold up, what it
Hmm.
means, examples, and then we'll share hold, right?
Okay.
Examples, beliefs, so that you guys understand how each are used so you can avoid this mistake.
Oh my gosh, it is such a kind of a diverse word, right? A
Oh, yeah.
very robust word that we can use in so many ways, and native speakers do. Guys, this is real English here. Right,
Yes,
Aubrey? Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so let's dive in. There are a lot of meanings to for the phrasal verb hold up. The one we're
Hmm.
talking about today is the one you used in that first question you asked me, like if a
Yeah.
TV show holds up, right? It means
Right.
to continue in the same condition without
Yes.
losing like effectiveness or force or interest maybe, without failing in some
Mm.
way.
Yeah, and it could be in a lot of different ways. We talked about
Right.
how Love Actually is not as politically correct anymore, but we talked about how the Brady Bunch is just kind of boring now.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. So
So,
this is the first way we wanna share is just a great conversation starter to introduce a
yeah.
conversation like you did and say, "Does that movie hold up?" If you're talking about an old movie or, "Oh, I listened to some Michael Jackson. Do you think it holds up?" It's a
Oh my
great
gosh.
conversation.
It's there honestly, especially now, there's been so much cultural change in the US since even 2019. So if you look back to even the time that this podcast was started in 2013, it was a totally different era in terms of culture, right?
Yes.
So we can have this conversation and it could be super relevant to things that happened just 10 years ago.
Absolutely. It's
Mhm.
interesting. It's definitely a way to get deeper to really find out what people think and
Yeah.
a lot of their values, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because,
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting, but there's
Yeah.
more to it than that, right? We also talk about in this with this same definition, a
Mhm.
person holding up like under pressure. You might say,
Okay.
he's holding up well under the pressure.
It's kind of the same meaning, but kinda not, right? It's kind of the same meaning, but like a different use in a way. Would you say?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
There's these 7 definitions, and either under each definition, like we have this one definition, continue
Mhm.
in the same condition without failing.
Yep.
That one definition we use in all these different ways, talking about
Right.
media, movies, music, people, right? And
Mhm.
a really
Yeah.
common question you might ask someone is just, "How are you holding up?" If you know someone has gone
Yeah.
through a hard time, this is a really nice question, and it's less sort of blunt and straightforward than saying,
Like,
I
"Are you
know
okay?"
exactly,
Right?
"Are you
Yeah.
okay? How are you feeling?" It just
Yeah.
feels a little more less intrusive. "How are you
Yeah, when
holding
it co
up?"
exactly, Aubrey. When it comes to connection, I think sometimes it's good to have something that just doesn't feel quite so, as you said, intrusive or direct. Be a
Right.
little indirect.
Exactly. Yes. So,
Mhm.
and then the same meaning is used also regarding arguments or theories. For something to
Okay.
be logical, consistent, or convincing, it's in the same way. Like, does it not fail? Does it remain consistent without losing effectiveness? You might
Mhm.
say, if you're having a discussion with someone and they share an argument that you really don't agree with, a polite way
Yeah.
to say that would be, I don't think that argument holds up.
It's a good way to respond, actually,
Yeah.
right? It's a good because it's kind of disarming if you hear that. It's summing up what you think of what they've just said. I like it. It's useful.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, or when you talk about a theory, you might say, "After
Mhm.
experimentation, the theory didn't hold up." That means it
Yeah.
was proven incorrect, right? It failed in some way.
Yeah, the key word, a bonus word here, Aubrey, for today that comes to mind is withstand. It
Mm.
doesn't withstand the pressure, the time, the
Yeah, we'll say
changes in
withstand
culture.
the test of time. Did that withstand
Mm,
the test of time? That's just
right.
longer, so instead we say, "Did that hold up?"
Yeah, so maybe that one will be a bonus today on the app.
Love
We'll
that.
see. We'll see. All right, good stuff. What else, Aubrey?
Yeah, so what we shared here, this phrasal verb, the mistake we hear where someone would say, like, they hold up a belief or they hold up a theory. The correction might be with this phrasal verb and saying instead, that belief holds up. And it
Mhm.
means like it has stood the test of time. It still makes sense. It still is valid. And that could be what you mean. So if that's your intention, you'd want to use the phrasal verb, right?
Yeah.
His
Yes.
belief holds up or that belief holds up. It means I agree with it in spite of, maybe time has passed.
100%. Aubrey, what else do we need to know then here?
Yes. So, depending on what you mean, the correction of this mistake might be different. Maybe what you
Mm,
actually mean to say is they hold a belief, which
okay.
just means you believe something.
Right, it's clear that words are getting mixed up from what you've heard from students a
Exactly.
little bit, but what exactly do we mean? We need to understand it to know what the correction should be, right? So now we're moving into the second piece again about what we believe, the things we believe, right?
Exactly. So we use this verb hold. It has many definitions. We use
Mhm.
it as a verb and as a noun. You're surely familiar with, physically holding a book, holding
Yeah.
someone's hand.
Oh
But
yeah,
there's
easy.
another, yeah, those are easy. There's another definition that's a little bit more complicated that's about having something in mind as a judgment, opinion, or belief.
Yeah, I'd say more interesting. And I know our listeners want to be interesting when they speak. They want to speak about these more figurative things about beliefs, values, culture, politics, things like that, right? So,
Exactly. So you could say, for
good stuff.
example, she holds the belief that everyone should be equal. And this is just sort of a more polished way of saying she believes that everyone should be equal. It's up leveled a little bit to say it in this way.
Or, for example, I hold the view that this is wrong. This feels formal, right? But there could be a time and place to say that.
Yeah, I like this as a phrase for arguments and debates. It's slightly less
Hmm.
blunt than "I think" or "my opinion is," right?
Yeah.
It keeps
Yeah.
the conversation professional and more formal, which tends toward calm, thoughtful conversations instead of heated arguments, right?
And I think it's important that you mentioned debate, right? This idea, this is so kind of quite far on the formal side that I wouldn't say this in a conversation. Even if I were debating someone like sitting on the couch, I would need to be almost be on a stage behind a podium
Mm,
to
I
say
can
that.
see
Do you
that in,
agree?
like,
Yeah.
debates, yeah. It's
Yes.
interesting, it does feel quite a bit more formal, but I
Mhm.
could see myself saying, like, "I understand where you're coming from if I feel something getting heated," and then
Mhm.
you say, "On the other
But I
hand,
hold
I
the
hold
view.
the
Yeah.
view that," and
Mhm.
you're very respectfully stating your opinion in a way that's not
Right.
so direct.
Right, right, right. I see what you mean. Yeah. So when things get heated, sometimes people do go to in an informal situation, go to become formal, right? To kind of
Right.
mash the emotions
Diffuse,
at times.
yeah, to eliminate maybe contention or
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a really good skill to use language that isn't as divisive or isn't as
Mhm.
inflammatory.
Mhm.
Both of those words I'm gonna put in the app as bonus
Great for the app.
yes, 'cause there's a lot of good vocabulary for diffusing a situation.
Okay, what about hold a grudge?
Yeah, this is a really great expression. This means you can't let go of feelings of anger or resentment, but it's using the
Mhm.
same definition of hold, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
someone who wronged you, you're having a hard time forgiving, we would say, I'm having a hard time, I'm holding a grudge.
And so painful to do that for you, right? If you do it yourself, that's painful. It's not painful for the other person because sometimes they don't even know, right? It's about
Exactly.
forgiveness. Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
it might be eating away at you when you
Right.
have these negative feelings and it's hard to get past
Yes.
it.
Not good. And then holding against, right? So allowing someone's past actions to have a negative influence on one's present attitude. So what does that mean?
Yeah,
What does
so
that
for
mean? Yeah.
example, she holds everything I say against me. So you're allowing
Mm,
something from the past to affect how you feel about someone now. Means you're
mm.
holding something against them.
Oh, not good. Okay. So we've learned a lot of new angles on this word hold, Aubrey. Should we do a role play just to see
Yes.
how this all comes together?
Yeah, and this is what's crazy, how hold has so many meanings, and even for one meaning, for one definition, we
Mm.
still use that in there's so many nuanced ways that we use that one definition, right?
I know it's crazy, right? We're not talking about 25 definitions. We're talking about
This is
one
one
definition
definition.
and different uses of it, right? That's important
Exactly.
to
Right.
clarify for our listeners here.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
let's do a role play. So, in this one, Lindsay, you are Maria,
Okay.
checking in with me, your friend. I'm
Okay.
Sarah, and
Okay.
my relationship recently ended. That's why I've given us different names. Sometimes in
Okay.
role plays, I'm like, oh, this could be something we would say. Like, my relationship did not recently end, so we are
Right.
fictitious in
Neither did
this
mine.
situation.
All
So, you go ahead and start us out, Lindsay.
right, here we go. All right. So how are you holding up?
I'm all right. I told you he ghosted me, right? I'm trying not to hold a grudge.
Oh, that's tough. It'd be hard not to hold it against him.
A friend gave me the advice that I should stay angry and I'd feel better, but that theory did not hold up.
Oh, yeah, I definitely hold the belief that letting go of that anger will help you move on. Right. And I'm sure that we've all learned this, in the dating world, that letting go of things really does give you that freedom of mind.
Absolutely. Yes, because
Right.
that's you're thinking about it more if you're holding this grudge and holding this anger, you're letting it affect your daily life. Like, don't let them have that power over you, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. So we want our listeners here to hold on for the next episode over on Business English. Right, Aubrey?
Absolutely, right? There's so much great information about hold. We want you to get those phrasal verbs that you'd use at work, the idioms over on IELTS Energy Podcast. So yeah, lots of
hmm
good information today.
Yeah, good stuff. Any final thought on just what we talked about here in All Ears English? Anything specific about this use, maybe letting go, holding on to things? Anything
Yeah, I feel
else?
like there has been a lot of great info here, right? These are really
Hmm.
excellent conversation starters. This is how you make deeper connections with people. Ask them how they're holding up if you know they've been going through something difficult, right? Ask them
Yeah.
about the beliefs they hold. If you have gotten past the small talk and you're wanting to deepen your relationship, this phrasal verb hold up and the verb hold is used in a lot of ways to do that.
Yeah, these are connection. These are the start of connection. Just take one thing you've learned today, guys, put it into action in conversation. That builds connection. I love it. So good,
Absolutely.
Aubrey. Well, thanks for bringing this to the show today, Aubrey. I appreciate it.
Yes, awesome. We'll see you in the next part of the series over on the Business English podcast.
Sounds good. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.